Hey guys, welcome back to another tutorial. Today we will be covering muzzle flashes in After Effects. Specifically, I will be using the clip that we used in our Black Ops 2 Zombies video, and your final result should look like this.
Take this, Jive Turkey!
Alrighty, so the first thing you're going to want to do is create a new composition. Let's see here. Yeah, name it whatever you want. Call it Finn Shoots Zombie. Lovely. In this case, we are working with 30 frames per second and 1920 by 1080. Make it however long you need to. Background color doesn't really matter, but we'll just make it black because black's cool. Alrighty. So, gonna import our footage. Find wherever your footage is. Ours happens to be on the desktop for this. Importing, and there we go. So we'll drag it on right here. So we've cut down our footage to where we want it to be, and got this nice little clip right here. So next thing you're going to want to do is import some files from the Action Essentials pack. If you do not have the Action Essentials pack, it is pretty easy to get. Just look up how to get it for free on YouTube. Otherwise, I will include the stock footage at the end of this video, so you can just download this video and take that stock footage out of it and use it for this tutorial. So ours happens to be here on the C drive. What you're going to want to go to is muzzle flashes. You're going to want muzzle flashes 4 and, let's see, 4, muzzle flash 5, as well as you're going to want to go under shells and grab the 8mm number 2 shell, and that's all that we're going to need for this tutorial. So to begin with, let's find where Finn starts shooting. About, bam, let's say here. Let's say that's where he starts shooting. Alrighty, let's grab in our muzzle flash 4, drag that over here to where he begins. Now obviously we're going to want to scale this up. Let's just press S, scale. Let's see, maybe a little bigger. Muzzle flashes are pretty big. Let's say about that. Looks pretty good. Maybe a little smaller actually. Let's see, like, alright, there. The first thing you're going to want to do here is track the motion of the muzzle flare to the muzzle of the gun. So click T for opacity, bring that down to about 40 or so you can see both the muzzle flare and the clip. Then press P for position, keyframe the start of that, and now what we're going to do is track the motion of this muzzle by creating these keyframes here. Alright, so once you're done with that, you're going to see that the muzzle flare is now tracked to the muzzle. Bring that opacity back up to 100 by pressing T and then going to opacity. And you can see that the muzzle flares follow the front of the gun there. So we want, and everything's subject to change. If you think something doesn't look good, you can change it yourself. So I'm probably gonna make a couple tweaks here. So to make this muzzle flash look more realistic, what you're gonna want to do is right click blending mode, then go to screen. This brightens it up a little bit, gives it more of a realistic feel, takes a little bit of that orange, yellow, unrealistic color out of it that we get with the stock footage. So that looks pretty good right there. The next thing that we're going to want to do to this clip is to have some, little shells popping out the side. So go tab back over here to our project folder. Bring in the that 8mm right there. Drag that onto our composition. And with these guys, you're going to have to duplicate a lot of layers, but does become very cool in the end. So take this guy, scale him down to about, that looks pretty good right there. Let's see what we got. Let's go here. Rotate him a little bit there to there. Match the scale again. And there we go. That looks like a pretty realistic size right there. So what you're going to want to do with this is, again, keyframe that position right there. Go forward a couple frames. Say there. And then you're going to set another keyframe and drag that one off the screen. Now what we're going to do, click back on this first keyframe here and just bring this up here, and we are creating motion for it. So when we play it through, you can see that it arcs in an angle off the screen as it would in real life. It doesn't just go straight. So that's pretty cool. And now the easy thing that you can do here, so you can click Control D to duplicate the layer, go into that position again, and you have another one. So set this one at the beginning time of the next flash, which is right here. And for this guy right here, we're gonna change it a little bit. We're gonna vary the angles, that it's coming out, because they're not all gonna be the same. That'd look kind of goofy if they were all just going down the same path. So looks pretty good there. One thing I forgot to mention is that for the next one, you're going to want to, again, start it up right here where the shell would be coming out. So you're going to want to do that for every new clip right there. And you might have to even rotate it again. So yeah, be right back. Alrighty, so once you're done with that, you're going to see you have a lot of layers, and it should look, something pretty good. Something like this here. What you're going to want to do now is for all these layers here, you're going to want to check this little tab right here, this motion blur tab. You're going to want to check that for all the 8mm shells. And then you're going to want to hit this, which will add motion blur to it. As you can see now, when these guys are coming out, they're blurring because they're going so fast that the camera can't even, catch them. So that makes it a lot more realistic rather than just the sharp edges on those shells coming out. So as you can see, that looks really nice as they come out. So the next thing you're going to want to do is drag in this, where is it? Automatic Fire 5 right here. And this is actually I think that's one of the suppressed fire clips that they have here in the Action Essentials pack. But what you're going to do here is, again, bring this to where the shells come out, so it makes it look like there's like a little bit of a spark or a fire coming out of the chamber of the gun. So let's click Scale, S for Scale, bring it down here to about there. We're going to put this, we're going to bring this guy underneath all those right there. And for this, let's actually just uncheck all these layers of shells for the moment so that we can just work with this right here. So rotation, rotate around about there. That looks about good. So again, with this one right here, we're going to keyframe that position and just keep paging down, moving forward in frames, and just bringing that where it needs to be. Maybe even having to keyframe the rotation too. And for this one, we're actually gonna have to duplicate it in my situation here because it doesn't last long enough. It's actually going to copy all these keyframes. You're going to want to delete all these keyframes to start fresh there. So once you're done with that, it's going to look like this. Really cool effect there. And now we're going to recheck all of these eyes to see the shells again. And you should get something like this here. And that's really cool. So what we're going to do now is add some highlights to where the gun would actually brighten up the area, say Finn's whole body here. So to create these highlights, what we're going to want to do is make sure that under this tab right here, right click it, do columns, and make sure that modes is there so we can see all these modes we have. Now we're going to duplicate the base layer, our original footage, and we're going to set this blending mode to add. And as you can see, everything just got a lot brighter. But what we're going to do now is bring in our pen tool, and we're just going to start masking around the areas that would basically be affected by the muzzle flash, which is really just Finn's body here. Alrighty, as you can see, we have that right there. Right off the bat, let's see here, got a tab down here, go to masks, mask controls down there. What we're going to want to do is feather this out so that it doesn't look, you know, a little bit ridiculous like it does right now, where it's just so sharp. So feather that out right there. So now what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to basically animate the path of this mask just like we've been doing with everything else. So click that there and page down. Let's see, all looks well until right here when Finn gets a little bit too crazy and goes out of the frame. As you can see here. So keep him inside the frame at all times. Right here. And now it is important to make sure that we have our mask opacity at 100%, or not even 100%, probably only about, let's see, 100% really blows out the highlights here on his face. Probably about, say, like 75%, or maybe, yeah, let's just go 70%. We're going to make sure you only have that at 70% when muzzle flares are actually occurring. So let's zoom in here onto our timeline, and we'll keyframe again. Keyframes are our best friend. I'm going to go down, make it 0 right before the muzzle flare happens. Bring that up to 70, and when let's bring it back down to 0 when it's gone. Let's see, set a keyframe again right there, one before it actually happens, and then bring it back up to 70. So it's basically this this process right here. After going through this, I believe that even 70 is just a little too much. It really depends on your clip, you know, what look you're trying to get. I'm actually probably going to go about 40 at this point. So I'm going to change all those values to 40. Probably actually feather the mask a little more too, to say about 300 pixels. That'll just make everything seem more smooth and seamless throughout the whole shot. So yeah, I think that once this is done, it looks pretty good. Looks pretty sweet, I think. Obviously, there are ways to get way more fancy with it. You can cast out certain areas where it would create shadows. You can one thing you can do that I didn't do that I usually do is you can rotate around this muzzle flash so that it's not always just these straight same diagonal lines every time. You can rotate that around. But yeah, guys, that's basically it for this tutorial, this muzzle flash tutorial. If you have any more questions, just leave them in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer them and help you guys out in any way as possible. So yeah, more tutorials coming soon, guys. Bye.